Thanks to everyone that have watched my videos, and especially thanks to everyone that subscribed to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe by pushing the button down at the bottom of the page. I'd appreciate it, and it would help me out. Or is it this bottom, or is it this bottom? It's this bottom of the page. I know I've had a lot of writing videos on my channel recently, and I've also promised to have more how-to videos in the future. So today, that's what I'm doing. You know, I brag about my 1999 YZ250. It's been a really great bike, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I got it whenever it was new back in '99 and I was racing. Hey, it's inevitable. Every time I start to do something, my dogs upstairs start barking. I'm not going to tear into this thing today, but I'm going to start on some other things because I plan to ride tomorrow, so I'm going to get one more ride out of it before I do this next upgrade. So let's look at this bike. It's pretty much stock from 1999. I've got just a few things on it, a little bit of graphics change, and some guards up front. I've got the gripper seat on it, and a little bit newer plastic on the front fender and number plate. But other than that, I've got the stock pipe, everything stock in the engine. Everything is pretty much the way it came. I've never been an expert on suspension setup, and I pretty much run this with stock settings. I haven't done anything to the forks. Have rebuilt them, obviously, and the shock as well. Keep that fresh, but it rides pretty well. But I wanted to try something different. So I'm going to be putting some SSS KYB forks on this, and the newer version shock with the high-speed compression damping on it. I've got a whole setup from a YZ250, a 2008 YZ250. I have the triple clamps, I have the forks, I have the shock. So these forks, the lower tubes look to be in really good shape. No dings or scratches. Same with the anodizing on the upper tubes. I always see these on eBay and they're all beat up and in bad shape. These look really good. These were revalved by factory connection, so I'm not really sure what the valving is in it. Probably the same with the shock. So when I tear it apart, I'm going to try to figure out how it's valved and see if I need to do something different or just leave it like it is. Of course, everything's not perfect. There's a little ding here, but that's superficial. I think I can clean that up. Clean up these lock nuts and just clean the shock up in general. And I think it's going to look really good and hopefully work a little bit better. Also on the triple clamps, the newer bikes have the 1 1/8 diameter bars. So I've got me a set of Pro Taper 1 1/8 over here. So that ought to be a nice upgrade too. I grabbed this wheel with it also. Luckily, this wheel's got some scratches on it. Looks like they were just kind of rough with the tools, but there's no cracks in it, and it looks very true. So hopefully I can clean these spokes up, clean this hub up a little bit. I will probably have to replace the disc because this disc was worn without, apparently with some very worn out brake pads, to the point where they rubbed the disc up against the bracket. So this disc has little lips on it. But again, have the complete brake assembly. This has the different brake line. The older ones went below the bottom because of patent issues. I'll rebuild the calipers, the master cylinder, put new wheel bearings. The rim, luckily, is in good shape. That's what I was hoping for, and the hub, because my rim is a little warped. It's been this way for a while. I've tried truing it and straightening it and different things, but it's pretty bad. And it's got a crack in it too, near the weld. Oh hey, thanks Rocky Mountain. I got more parts. Also, I've got these forks apart, and I was a little worried what was inside, and not too unexpectedly, that piston is shattered. I knew it right away because when I drained the oil out, the oil from the inner cartridge was empty also. And that was a sure sign that it was leaking by the seals and going through the drain hole in the tube. So definitely we'll have to replace these pistons. Okay, time to work on the shock. You can see what I've done here. I've just popped this cap up. It just pops up the little indentions in the side. Just stick something in it, just kind of tap it up, pop it out, move it out of the way. And I need to clean this out in here the best I can. I've pushed this seal head down. There is a seal head tool, but I don't have one, but I just use a screwdriver down on the seal head and on the aluminum piece in there, and just pushed it down. You can see how it's down. Now I've got to pop that circlip out with my little pick, and I'll pull this out. I'm not going to go through all this with you because there are videos out there, but so I'm going to pull this off. I've also taken the air out of the reservoir already, so don't worry about me exploding. We'll take the cap off though. I've also got to push this down. There's a clip in there too, and then pull this off as well to get the bladder out. So that's really all there is to taking these apart. You pull this out. Now I'm going to replace this bumper with a new bumper. It's a little more difficult getting that off because you have to take the piston and the shim stack out, which I want to take that out anyway and see what shim stack is in here. So I'm gonna take that off anyway. So while I've got all that apart, I'll replace the bumper and put it back together. So it's amazing how easy it is to take these shocks apart. Essentially just two circlips, let the air out, and just pull it right apart. That's all there is to it. You can see here, to get this off, this bumper, I have to remove the piston, which all the valves are in there, and I'm replacing this part and this part. I've also got a new piston. Hopefully, it looks like internally you can't see it from the video, but internally the plating inside still looks really fresh, so that's a good thing too. I knew I should have ordered a new lower shock bearing. That thing looked okay with the cover on it, but it was pretty bad. So I'll get another one of those if I get the other shock on first, or if I get the other shock off first and this one ready to go back on, I'll just pop the bearing out of the other one. Should be the same bearing. The other one's in pretty good shape. I actually took care of my bike. Okay, I'm tearing into the front end, and I'm curious the difference between the two triple clamps and the rotation, and whether or not I can, how far it'll go over. Will it, hit anything? Does it go far enough? Or is the stops the same and relative design the same? So I'm going to be looking at that. This is the original clamp. You can see where it hits. Really, it doesn't hit but about half of that stop. It does hit square though. You can see that it hits fairly square. And also you can see the fork, the distance to the CDI box is not much. So I'm curious if the bigger forks are going to hit that. They are also spread out just a little bit, a few couple of millimeters, so you know, maybe it will clear. I'm gonna look at that and try that next. Okay, this is with the new fork and triple click tree on it. You can see from my turning standpoint, there's plenty of clearance here. I'm almost wondering if it's not turning as far as it should. What I'll do to be more precise about it is actually measure the angle, you know, from center that we're turning, and then compare the two and see where it stands. I don't know if I need to actually, you know, cut this width off a little bit, or you know, what I need to do when this is extended. Also, I'm almost curious if I could get by without. You can see there's a bit of, it does hit that. It's hitting it about in the middle. I mean, the thing is, it's not really hitting it square. So, you know, I have some concern about that. It's almost like this little tab needs to be shaped differently. There, sorry. It almost looks like it needs to be shaped differently. You see how the angles are different, where the other one came in and hit it kind of flat. So I am concerned that what will happen is if I fall or something, you know, I don't think it'll be from throwing any mad whips or anything, but you know, if I do, you know, jam it against the stop, that it could damage the triple tree and maybe allow the fork to turn too far and then go in and crash something. So I'll look at that. I'm gonna look at the angle that I'm turning and see if it's correct, and go from there. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm not sure if you can see this too well. This doesn't look straight in the video, but it looks better like that. Hang on. Okay, so I've turned this both directions, and I'm measuring about 30, like when I center this up, as I'm eyeballing this, but, and again, you can only see it if my camera's in the right spot. But I'm measuring about 36, 37 degrees, depending on how I'm reading this, on both directions. So I know I'm kind of eyeballing it the same, and so if I were way off of one direction versus the other, I know I'd be a little bit crooked. But so I think I'm about 35 to 37 degrees. And we'll check the old clamp and see where it's at. Okay, as I expected, the old clamp has a rotation both directions approximately 42 degrees, where I'm probably 5 degrees short both directions. So what I'm going to do is build this up to where, actually what I'll probably end up doing is cutting this a little bit flat, so the other one, this one actually hits correctly, but the other one didn't hit correctly. So I'll grind this flat to where the other one hits smoother and goes as far as I can go, close to 42 degrees without this fork hitting the CDI box. Here's what I think I'm going to do. Really need this stop to be a little bit lower. So I made a piece like this that'll go under, and so I'll have to grind the weld off in the bottom, but it'll be tacked in there. And then I haven't finished cutting this piece yet, but I'll probably grind this down flat, and then finish cutting this piece the length I want, and then that'll set on top of it once the bottom piece is tacked in. So that should work pretty good and give a good foundation for that. Okay, I stripped down to the frame. I'll look for any kind of cracks or anything. Also, pressure washing the frame blew a lot of the paint off, so I'll touch that up. But what I wanted to show was that I made this stop. So again, from what I said last night, there was someone on YouTube that had done this. They did it a little bit differently, but I'm gonna have them put another piece at the bottom first, weld that up to the original, and then this little piece, you make a shelf there, and then weld this piece in right there. And then I can, once that's all welded up, then I'll grind it to where it's the right angle and where I've got the right turn radius and stuff. So now I just got to see if I can get someone to weld it. Thanks for sticking around to watch the entire video. I was thinking maybe I should split this up into a couple. Hopefully you got to the end. And again, I appreciate you sticking with me. And if you would please like and subscribe, it would be great. And maybe someday I'll have a real moto channel. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.